everyone. My name is Marcie Colleen, and today I'm going to share with you my picture book, Penguinaut, which was written by me and illustrated by a woman named Emma Yarlett, who lives all the way in England, and it was published by Scholastic. All right. And Susie here is going to help me with showing the pictures. So, Penguinaut by Marcie Colleen, illustrated by Emma Yarlett. Orville was small. Do you see little tiny Orville there? He's just a little guy at the zoo. And I always like to point out this little sign here that says penguin at the zoo, because when you're at the zoo, they always have signs that tell you what you're looking at, what animal you're looking at. And I'm going to bring your attention to that again at the end of the book. All right. Orville was small and his friends were big. Look at how big his friends are. That is one big friend. Does anybody have an elephant friend here? Do you wish you had an elephant friend? I do. That would be really cool. Does anybody here have friends that are bigger than them? Yeah. And maybe sometimes when your friends are bigger than you, they get to do things that you don't get to do because they're bigger. Yeah. I understand that feeling. So his friends were big and their adventures were bigger. Look at that. We have a hang gliding rhino. How in the world does a rhino get off the ground? And then you have a deep sea diving giraffe here swimming with the fish. And do you see Orville? Does anybody see Orville in the picture? Way up at the top with his little tiny swimmies on. He's having trouble catching up to the giraffe of all things. Orville longed for big adventures too. One day, he announced his plans for the biggest and best adventure yet. And here he has used his very big elephant friend to draw his plans. And it says, Orville's big adventure to the moon. Look at that. He's going to go all the way to the moon. He's like, ta-da. But his friends have something to say. All the way up there? But Orville, you're so small and the moon is so far away. Is that a good idea? Do you think his friends are just trying to be mean and discourage him? You think they're trying to be mean and discourage him? What do you think that are? Why would they be saying these things then? Does anybody know? Why do you think Orville's friends are saying that to him? Maybe it's because they're worried about him. They're a little concerned. Maybe they want to make sure he's going to be safe. Because if you went home and you said, I'm going to go to the moon tomorrow, I would hope somebody in your life would be like, have you thought this through? Let's just make sure we have all of our ducks in a row before you take off to go to the moon. I can do this myself, Orville flippered out. So Orville, he thinks that they're just poo-pooing his idea. But here he goes. He tried to flap. Can you flap your little penguin wings? Can penguins fly? No. So he goes curb, plop. He tried to climb. See if you can climb a ladder. Can you climb a ladder all the way to the moon? No. It goes whack. And he tried to catapult. Falling, but landed in the reptile house. Orville was pretty sure the boa constrictor was not trying to hug him. He's saying, ouch! That's a squeezy snake. Still, Orville kept trying. He borrowed from the zookeeper. He nicked from the trash cans. He built and built. Can you see what he's going to try now? Look at the picture. Can you tell what he's trying to build? What is that? Can anybody tell? Is it a rocket ship? Can you tell what the rocket ship is made out of? Do you know what it is? It's made out of cardboard. Yes. Do you think, okay, so first he couldn't fly. He couldn't climb a ladder all the way to the moon. He couldn't catapult. Do you think a cardboard rocket ship will take him all the way to the moon? A couple believers, a couple of non-believers, a couple of skeptics in the audience. Okay, well, let's see what happens. So sometimes I have kids who say to me, a cardboard rocket ship is not going to make it all the way to the moon because you need something that explodes underneath it to make it go straight up in the air. And Orville has thought of everything. With a shake, shake, shake of a half-filled soda bottle, the ship was ready for liftoff. So he's going to shake up a bottle of soda really, 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 really hard. Don't try this at home. Your parents won't be happy with me. And then he's going to let it go and it's going to go straight to the moon. Now, do you think it's going to work? I think he's got a really good chance. It was perfect and perfectly penguin-sized. With a trembling flipper salute, he took his place at the controls. I can do this myself. Now let's count him down and see if we can get Orville to the moon. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Blast off! There he goes. Whoosh! The ship zipped through the night sky, through clouds, over stars, and straight to the moon. Wow, soda worked. Again, don't try that at home. Bump, kerplump, kaboom, Orville landed. His stomach felt queasy. His spacesuit felt squeezy. Now that he made it, what would he do? What would you do on the moon? I mean, there's no Wi-Fi on the moon. There's no couches or snacks or anything like to do on the moon. So what would you do on the moon? Let's see what Orville's going to do. He took a small step. Here he is putting his zoo flag in the moon, claiming the moon for the zoo. He hopped, did a little dance, and tripped. Has anybody here ever paid attention to watching the penguins at the zoo? They fall down a lot. I think that's why I like them so much. They're very clumsy, kind of awkward. I feel a little connected to them. So Orville falls down, and when he falls down, look at, he goes tumble, bumble, ba-boing. It's like he's flying, because on the moon, there's not as much gravity. So when you jump up in the air, you kind of float for a while before you come down. So he feels like he's flying for the first time ever. He somersaulted with stars, cartwheeled over craters, and giggled for all the galaxy to hear. It was the biggest and best adventure yet. Do you think that's it? There's some more pages here. I think we need a little more tension in this story. I'm doing it myself, he cheered, but his tiny voice was swallowed up in the starry blackness. Orville stopped. He was all alone. Do you see little Orville there? Like you can look in the picture when you're a little bit closer. He's all on that moon by himself, and he's used to having all of his zoo friends around all the time. Oh no, he's lonely. His stomach grew queasier. His spacesuit grew squeezier. He shivered, and a note fell out of his pocket. You're our penguinaut. We know you can do this. Oh, who do you think put that note in his pocket? Anybody have any ideas? It just showed up, some alien on the moon. Where did it come from? Maybe his zoo friends? Yeah, getting some head shakes on that. Some nods, yeah, his zoo friends. Have you ever received a little note maybe in your lunchbox or something when you go off to school saying, hey, you're going to have a great day? My mom used to do that for me all the time, and that's where I got the idea for that note in his pocket. But because you're here for a very special reading, I'm going to share a special secret with you in the book that you can find in the pictures yourself. So when I was working on this book with Scholastic said to me, Marcie, how did the note get in his pocket? And I was like, kids are really smart. They're going to know it was his friends. Duh. And they said, no. How did the note get in his pocket? And I said, well, I don't really want to add any text that says that. And they said, we'll ask Emma if she can do something. So if you turn back, Susie, to the picture where he's working on the ship in his igloo, if you look closely, you can see that there are all of his friends looking in the window of the igloo. Susie has a picture there, so you can maybe see it a little closer. And if you look, there's a pencil being held by the elephant, that big elephant friend. And then to take it one step further, if you turn the page when he's putting his perfect little endings on his ship, you can see the trunk of the elephant putting the note into his pocket. So that's like one of those magical things about picture books that you might not notice on the first read through, but when you pay attention to the art very closely, you can sometimes find other parts of the story. So let's go back to the moon. You're our penguinaut. We know you can do this. His friends knew he was going to need a little extra encouragement when he was on the moon. He missed his friends, so Orville closed his eyes tightly and imagined they were there. He looks up in the sky and he sees the constellations and he imagines his elephant friend and his lion friend and giraffes and birds. And he's so lonely, he even imagines that squeezy snake in the air. He's like, I would even take a really creepy hug from a boa constrictor right now because I am so lonely. When he was safely back in his ship, he looked toward home. He couldn't wait to tell everyone about his big adventure. Look at the celebration back at the zoo. They have a sign that says, "You're our hero." They've got signs for him and party hats. And then remember that sign that I said to pay attention to that said penguin? Right here, the elephant, who obviously really likes to write a lot, is changing that sign to say, "Our incredible penguinaut," to let Orville know just how proud of him they are. Sure, Orville's friends were big. Now, the proud penguinaut felt big too. But biggest of all, being together was out of this world. Where do you think they're going? That's to the moon. Maybe he wants to show his friends everything that he saw on the moon, which is like a bunch of rocks. He was like, I'd like to show you those rocks. All right, let's count him down to get him into space. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, blast off. Yay. Thank you so much for letting me read that to you. Thank you for the assist, Susie. And now we're going to switch up here. Do you want me just to, you want to be, oh, you have another copy too. You want to be at the microphone, I take it, and I'll be over here.
Can you all hear me? Or is this too tall? Yeah. Oh, thank you. So Marcie is an incredible book reader, storyteller. That's a tall order. I hope I can follow.
You're going to draw.
Okay. So, yeah, so I'm going to draw. There. So my name is Susie Schaefer, and I'm the author and illustrator of The Glow Show. And it is a book about a squid who doesn't really want to share his glow. And we'll find out if sometimes in your life you need to, step out of your comfort zone or get over yourself and share your gifts with the world. And something very exciting happened when this book was, as an author and illustrator, you get copies early on called author copies. And that was a huge surprise. I don't know if we can tell. Glow is sparkly. He got glitter. That was a great surprise. Right? Sunblock. Okay, well, let's get started. When most picture books, well, all picture books have something called end papers. And sometimes you can do art. You can have them be part of the story. And in this case, I set the scene a little bit. So here is a squid, and he lives in the deep. It's dark, and he's all by himself. So here is the glow show. Can this squid shine even when he's not the star? Words and Pictures by Susie Schaefer. Once again, that's me. Meet Glow. Hi, fans. Glow is a squid. Oops. He is bioluminescent, and he knows how to twirl. And the faster he twirls, the brighter he glows. Look at me. Glow loves to twirl for his fans. See, here's a sea of fans, And 3 of them are highlighted. They'll be important later in the story. So his friends want to glow too. Can we twirl with you, pretty please? Wait, I can teach you how to sing. I can show you how to paint, and I can tell you how to navigate. But see, Glow is following the fans. The fans are leaving. But Glow prefers all eyes on him. No time for that. My fans need me. I must twirl higher, bigger, faster. See how he just swims up into the light? Glow twirls to the most beautiful place, a place full of color and future fans. Ooh, see, welcome to the shallows. He's ready to impress. Enjoy my triple swirl twirl, always a fan favorite. But up here, nobody seems to notice Glow. In fact, he looks just like everyone else. And the worst part is, Glow's glow is gone. No! He needs to go home immediately. So why do you think his glow is gone when he's in the light? Anybody know? So when you turn on the light switch, what happens when it's daylight? Not much, right? Yeah, there's not much glow. Not much glow in the daylight. So he needs to go home immediately. I must twirl deeper, bigger, faster. Glow starts swimming, not knowing where he's going. See, he just swims aimlessly down into the dark. Glow twirls to the most creepy place. He has never felt more lonely or scared. For the first time, he wishes he had friends. Luckily, Glow runs into familiar faces. Remember those 3 guys from the beginning? Can you help me get home, pretty please? Sure. Let me teach you how to sing your way home. Let me show you how to mark the way with ink. And let me tell you how to navigate the trench. So here his friends help him out. La, la, la. And here was the ink and the navigation. So they make their way back. When they arrive, Glow's glow is back to normal. See that back in the deep? Thanks, that was fun. But there isn't a fan in sight. See, the next hot thing came along. It's a shell juggling octopus. That's when Glow realizes something big. He'd rather twirl with friends than twirl for fans. So he starts his own twirl academy to teach everybody how to twirl and glow. They practice their spins, their turns, and their twirls. See, they're kind of clumsy. It takes practice to get good at something. They practice until it's showtime. And during the grand finale, when they all glow together, they get a huge surprise. The deep transforms into the most beautiful place, a place full of colors and fantastic friends. Now I have a little bit of science facts in the back. That was actually my publisher's idea. My editor said we should include some facts about ink and fans and friends. So I have some incredible squid facts for you. Squid are part of a marine mollusk family that also includes snail, cuttlefish, octopus, and the nautilus. Most squids have a head, a mantle, and fins, 8 arms, and 2 longer testicles. But they also have not 1, not 2, but 3 hearts. Another fact I'm going to choose to tell you about is their famous ink is a defense tactic that helps confuse predators. Squid ink is mainly melanin, which gives color to hair, skin, and eyes in animals. Melanin is also present in humans. Lucky for us, we don't spray ink. That would be really embarrassing. And I'm going to tell you maybe about the glow a little bit. Bioluminescent is a chemical light produced by living organisms like squid, fish, or fireflies. Even some mushrooms glow in the dark. Research suggests that sometimes bioluminescent is a form of communication. And then I want to tell you about fans versus friends. A fan is an enthusiastic follower of someone or something they look up to. Could be a celebrity, an influencer, sports team, or a place. Fan comes from the word fanatic. In contrast, friends are connected because they like each other mutually. Friends like to spend time together and encourage and support each other. I bet you guys have good friends, huh? I bet you guys are good friends. And now I'd like to spend a couple minutes drawing for you. Does anybody want to draw with me? I think we have some paper and crayons. Yeah? If you can't see well, you can always come a little closer. We're going to draw a squid. We're going to draw facial expressions. Thanks for your help, everyone. Just give you another minute. All right. Well, I'm going to start out with telling you a little bit about how I came up with that character. He is a squid, and while some squids are adorable, most look interesting, but also a little frightening. And I didn't want to have a squid that looks like a realistic squid as my main character. But I'm just going to quickly and sloppily draw what a squid would look like in the wild. They usually have this tubular kind of body. And then they have fins. The eyes. The eyes would be down here. And then they have their arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And some, thank you, have tentacles. So they're a little funky looking. And like Glow here, I gave him a mouth like a lot of mammals have. Their mouth is actually a beak down here. That's how they catch their prey. But it's really hard to draw good expressions. So what I did instead was I kind of squished the character and gave him a face that's more, that can have more expressions. So this is how I drew Glow. I squished his body like this. See? Then I moved his eyes in the corners really big. Still give him the 8 legs. I counted a lot of legs making this one. And his eyes, his little bow tie because he's snazzy that way. And his tentacles. And there he is. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about is facial expressions, how you can make a character happy or sad. And it's really so easy. All you need is eyes, eyebrows, and a mouth. So let's make Glow mad. See how easy that is? All you need to do is change the eyebrows, the little pupils, and the mouth. And now, what should we do next, Marcie? Surprised. Okay. So when you are surprised, and there was a lot of looking in the mirror going on, I'm going to make him this book. A lot of grimacing. Your eyebrows go way up. The mouth is wide open. See how surprised he looks? Anybody else? What else should glow? What other expression should glow have? Any idea? Any? A sad face. We can do that. So try to all make a sad face so I can look at you guys. Oh, I see some sad faces. When you're sad, everything droops. When you smile, everything lifts. Yeah, that's a sad face. So the eyebrows are really droopy, right? And then sometimes the eyes are closed and the mouth is so sad. Yep. Anything else? Confused. That's a hard one, but I'll try my best. With confused, you almost need a little more body language too. So confused would be like, so maybe they have uneven eyebrows. They look up, but then they could have their little tentacle or their little arm up. So. Oh, thank you. A purple finger. So yeah, that was pretty much it. That's all I had. But if you have any questions for Marcie or I, we're here to answer them. Thank you. I think it's okay. Do you? Me? I brought a couple, which I'm sure you can get ordered here. I brought a couple books that I had published. This is actually, I'm glad you asked. I'm the illustrator. Somebody else wrote this book. It's a yoga book, Susan. And then I have a book called Cat Ladies. It's the reverse tail. It's like a cat who collects ladies. So. And then I have one come out in October where I'm the illustrator. It's called Good Morning, I Love You, Violet, about the practice of telling yourself every morning that you love yourself to have a good day. And then I signed a contract for another book that comes out in 2025. So, any other questions? For Marcie, maybe?
Yeah. Penguinaut came out in 2018. That was actually one of my first book sales. I also have a book called Love Triangle, which is illustrated by Bob Shea, which also came out around the same time. I have a book called The Bear's Garden, illustrated by Allison Oliver, that came out in 2020. It was one of those books that came out in March 2020, and unfortunately a pandemic baby. And then my latest picture book that came out in August 2021 for the 20th anniversary of September 11th is called Survivor Tree, and it is the real life story of the tree that survived the attack on the World Trade Center, illustrated by Caldecott honor-winning illustrator Aaron Becker. And then I have another book coming out in the fall of next year called Happy Friendsgiving, illustrated by Jen Hill, who is the illustrator of Be Kind by Pat Zietlow Miller, who a lot of people know. And that is about all the different ways that we celebrate Thanksgiving with our chosen families, not just the people that we are related to. So, any other questions? Yes. The question is, what's the general framework for a children's book, and how do you think like a kid? Part of it is I think I never grew up. So that makes it really easy when you just are always being silly as an adult. As far as kind of the framework of a children's book, really one of the cardinal rules is that you can talk about anything in children's books as long as you end on hope, which is one of the things that I really strived for in writing Survivor Tree, because it is a September 11th story. It is about an event in history that was traumatizing and tragic. But if you end on hope, if you at least bring, you can show the darkness by also including light at the end. And yes, any data. Hmm. As far as data, I mean, I would say a lot of times, even I used to be a high school English teacher, and back in the day, a lot of times to introduce concepts or stories or moments in history, I used picture books with my high school students just because it's the marriage of the visual with the text that sometimes can actually make it click for somebody. It provides more of an emotional insight than just reading something out of a textbook. I don't know about any hard and fast data. I'm going to give it to Susie, and she'll probably answer that for you.
Thanks, Marcie. No. Um, I would say that's why there is such a variety of picture books, because you can't really say, oh, I'm going to write this book and it's going to do A, B, and C, because there is certain stories that certain people can tell that theirs, and it'll get through to maybe people in a similar circumstance. And then sales would also be data, book sales, but that's also more, then you have to appeal more to, I guess, the people who buy the book, which is the parents. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 I raised a couple kids myself, and I have bought books that I really liked, and they didn't. And then there is books where I'm like, really, that one over and over again every night, but it brought them some kind of comfort. So I think it's an abstract, really an abstract thing. It's an art. So art is subjective, and I think so. A picture books, some can be obviously I would never buy, and some I thought I a little bit. I don't know if it's something that can be answered really. I mean, there's certain word counts that are more current right now. Shorter picture books, like the old story books from yesteryear, they don't really wouldn't sell to a lot of publishers. I think.
Yeah. For the younger audience, yes. For picture books, however, picture books have a large range of ages, because you're going from anything from a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old who might be read to as a baby, to kids who are in elementary school who might be using it in the classroom to, you know, introduce a concept or introduce a time in history, or some sort of SEL tie-in. So a lot of times publishers will try to slate a picture book from about ages 3 to about 8. And so that's a large range. So yes, rhyme for the younger kids is something that is like really something that is proven to work in certain ways, but also at the same time, rhyme can be done really poorly. So rhyme is a very hard sell because of how poorly it can be done. Do you write in rhyme at all? No, it is such a precise mechanical craft that it's not just counting syllables and how things sound when you read them out loud. It's meter, it's stressed and unstressed syllables. It's a art form in itself. But I would say that, if there was a formula, I think everybody would do it. And it's just one of those things where I know for myself, I have to write books that I'm passionate about, that I feel connected to the story or the character. I'm sure Susie feels the same way. And then you hope that somebody like a publisher is going to also fall in love with it. Just because a publisher falls in love with it, parents might fall in love with it, teachers might, but it doesn't always mean that even trickles down to the kids. So I think that there's just a lot of subjective factors in there.
I guess if you wanted to know the inspiration, my daughter and I worked for a cat rescue when I wrote this book, and I have some family members' names in there. I did yoga and I still do yoga when I illustrated this, and I'm a scuba diver and I love the ocean. And I was really influenced by that the plankton that comes to the California shore. So I just write things like you that I find interesting and that I thought I could share.
The timeline for creating a picture book is also a very long process. I mean, I don't know about you, Susie, but like Penguinaut, I started writing in January of 2011 and or 2012, I believe, and I sold that book in September of 2014. And during that time, there were several versions of the story while I was trying to suss out what was going to be the strongest story possible. And one thing that we do, because we can't always be subjective about our own work, is that we share our work with other children's writers. And so other children's writers can weigh in and give us feedback on how to make it stronger and what parts aren't resonating, because it's very difficult to see your own work. So in the process of writing Penguinaut, you know, I probably wrote about 35 totally different drafts to get to that book that's like 300 and some words. And then once it sold to Scholastic, my editor at Scholastic also went through about 2 or 3 rounds of revision with me. So that's another reason why you need to write stories that you're incredibly passionate about, because you're going to be with these characters for a very long time. And I mean, we probably both have projects that we started and then we were like, yeah, this is not for me. And then you just kind of let it go by the wayside. Yeah.
On one last thing, rhyme crime is real.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, everyone. Any other
Thank you.
questions before we wrap up here?
Yeah, we'll be out there signing, right?
Yes, we will. We'll see you there.
Thank you so much for coming.